All right. We are back. Back in action. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Saturday Beard Live with the 3-year beard. Hopefully, you guys are having a good weekend. Let me just double check. I'm hearing a little bit of chirping outside. Sounds like some baby birds asking for some food. Or maybe it's a bird mating call. I don't know. I can't tell, but all I know is we are live. Welcome, guys, welcome. And if you're just tuning in the first time, this is the Saturday Beard Live with the 3-year beard, Justin Basil. Beard life, guys. Beard life, y'all. So far, what have I been drinking? I've been drinking this Waterloo Summer Berry. Waterloo Summer Berry. Sparkling water, and you can taste the nice hints of berry flavor, and I don't know what makes it summertime, but I guess the fresh fruit berry smell and the taste. It's no sugar, so you're getting rid of the sugars. You're getting a little bit of a flavor bomb of berry summer in your mouth. So yeah, basically I've just been having a good weekend so far, just enjoying the nice weather. It's not too hot, but it has been kind of like cloudy lately in Las Vegas. So now it's like, a really good weather, really good temperature. It should be like really, really hot right now, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm inside. But every time I walk outside, it's not like blazingly hot. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, almost like 105 degrees, 106. I mean, like, you get to temperatures from like 117, 118, 120. Yeah, those aren't good, temperatures to be outside. Maybe 105, but that's still kind of like pushing it. You want the nice 85 degrees, even 90. 90 degrees can be good in Las Vegas because it's just not humid. But once it gets cloudy, that's when it starts to become humid. That's when that 103 or 106 degrees starts to feel like, oh, like you're just completely sweating outside. It's supposed to be the dry heat, not the wet heat, the humid heat. Anyways, so hopefully you guys are having a good weekend. I'm having a great weekend, regardless of how I feel, about the weather. So what have I been using my 8-month beard? So far it's been 8 months. What have I been using on my beard? Well, certainly Weather Beard. Weather Beard I've been using religiously. And the reason why I like Weather Beard is because it's got like a high quality type of product. It's not just like any like a coconut oil or anything. Like, you're getting like a lot more natural ingredients, 100% natural ingredients for your beard, so you're not going to get any like irritations. The soaps, the washes, the conditioners, the oils, and the butters are very good. I like them. So I've been using Weatherbeard, ever since probably the second month, I think. So maybe it was the third month. I don't know, but I got to look into it. I've been using it a lot, throughout my entire growth, up until 8 months. The start of 8 months. It is August 8th, so it's looking good, right? I can't complain. I have a little bit of a surprise at the end of this month. I'll be posting something. Hopefully it goes well. I know it will go well. It'll be fun. I'm going to be enjoying the experience, but I can't give it away yet because I don't want to, just give away the surprise. So, it's going to be about my beard. So hopefully you guys will, stay tuned for that. But yeah, hopefully you guys, again, are having a great weekend because, again, it's a wonderful, wonderful summertime. My daughter's going to go back to school next weekend. So, well, not next weekend, but next week. So she's getting ready for that. I'm also, I'm thankful that my wife is able to pick up a lot of that responsibility to drop off my daughter, pick up, our daughter and stuff. So I'm really thankful for, being in a family and just being in a position of having to provide as a man, as a bearded man like myself. I'm just, nice and content with life. I also have a few things going on that I'm going to be doing start of the next year, but, that's just, more evolving career, moving forward and stuff. I'm not just a beard a beard appreciatist or aficionado. I'm also a realist, so I got to get a regular job like everyone else, right? We all like to do our dreams, but can you do your dreams and do something on the side? Especially when it pays the bills, right? This don't pay the bills. This is just my passion because I love growing beards. So with that being said, let's get into the bearded legend of the week. Today's bearded legend is Ernest Hemingway. And of course, if you've heard this very familiar name, he's a preeminent American novelist, short story writer, and journalist whose minimalist writing style profoundly reshaped the 20th century fiction. Celebrated for his adventurous, larger-than-life persona, he captured the disillusionment of the post-World War I lost generation and was awarded the 1954 Nobel Prize in Literature. His understated narrative technique, known as the iceberg theory, focused on keeping the surface prose sparse while letting the deeper meaning remain hidden. So basically, yeah, he's the one who invented the iceberg theory. And I'll go into that just a little bit more. But yeah, Ernest Hemingway, he's got a good beard. Look at it. He's got a great beard. He's got a very recognizable beard. It's very prominent. It's nice. Let me see if I can't zoom in on him. Yeah. Here's that picture of him looking out into the void, thinking of the possible storytelling that he could be making and writing about, and all the potential books that he's written, which we're going to go into right now. His major works was The Sun Also Rises in 1926, defined the post-war expatriate generation in Europe. I've never seen these words sometimes, so I'm just like, trying to sound it out. Luckily, I am an okay reader, so here we go. His next major work was A Farewell to Arms in 1929, a tragic romance forged on the Italian front in World War I. Have you ever seen this guy, Stuttering Craig, from Side Scrollers? I think I'm kind of like him when I just continue to just stutter, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, his next major works was From Who the Bell Tolls. Okay, so 1940. A dramatic tale of heroism during the Spanish Civil War. Okay. And his last and not least, The Old Man and the Sea in 1952. A Pulitzer Prize-winning novella about an aging Cuban fisherman's struggle with nature. And that's not to be confused with the other bearded legend that I selected previous about Herman Melville, which wrote Moby Dick. Kind of almost a parallel type of storytelling adventure of this, of the two. But yeah, The Old Man in the Sea, Pulitzer Prize winning. Anyways, so let's get into his key themes and lifestyle, specifically the iceberg theory, a signature style using simple language and short sentences to pack maximum emotional punch. Maximum emotional punch, the iceberg theory. So, in a very signature style using simple language. So, you could possibly, say that it is potentially the modern language that we all understand, like skibbity toilet, right? No, I'm just kidding. Nobody understands skibbity toilet. Anyways, high adventure. He also, his lifestyle was high adventure, an avid outdoorsman passionate about deep sea fishing, big game hunting, and bullfighting. Dude, this was a man. This was a man right here. Ernest Hemingway. He wasn't just ain't no writer behind the desk typing and typing and typing and writing stories. No, this guy was an actual man, a bearded man. I kid you not. I mean, here he is without a beard, just with a mustache. He's on the boat, fishing, right? That's a man's sport, right? That's a man thing to do. It can't be understated how much of a male, figure this guy was. And of course, I think this is like a video game render of Ernest Hemingway. For some reason, he looks like a guy from like Mafia, or like he's the like the Cuban Mafia or something. Say hello to my little friend. Once you get the money, you'll get the power. Once you get the women, you'll get the power. I totally butchered that line. It was what was that with Scarface? That was the movie Scarface. He kind of looks like a character from Scarface, right? Anyways, let's go to the next photo. Here he is. He's got a nice, half crooked smile. You can see it in his eyes that he's a happy-go-lucky guy. He could probably snap a bear's neck, because he was just an outdoorsman, deep sea fishing, big game hunting. Yeah, he was shooting bears, and he was shooting elk. He was shooting moose probably. Those things are huge, and you don't want to mess with those, apex type of animals, right? And bullfighting. He was a bullfight. What? Bullfighting? That's like the most male-dominant type of sport that you can get into. Tussling and rustling with a bull? Man, that's a man right there. Anyways, next up is key themes in lifestyle. Grace under pressure. A reoccurring focus on stoic characters facing war, injury, and morality with courage. Hey, again, you can't be courageous and go deep sea fishing or big game hunting or bullfighting for that matter. You got to have a stoic nature about themselves. And Ernest Hemingway was very stoic. Was it because of his beard? I don't know. Maybe. We'll just assume the latter, right? Okay, so anyways, let's get into the last one, tragic, and he was plagued by a lifelong mental and physical health struggle, which he took his own life in Ketchum, Idaho in 1961, which was very tragic. Who knows how much of this person had suffered, before, taking his own life, And again, if you have any thoughts about taking your own life, please seek professional help. There is a better way, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. We've all been there. We've all been maybe 15, 16. Oh, emotionally angst. I'm a teenager at the height of my life. And then, in the next year or two, it's like that feeling kind of goes away and you're just ready to move on. The same thing can happen if you decide to, take your own life. Again, don't take this, take it very seriously, because again, suicide is definitely something that you don't want to just glaze over. That's a very serious, thing. And again, you could be affecting yourself and others around you, and who knows if, you could have just saved yourself, then yeah, I'm getting a little further in that. Again, it is very tragic about what Ernest Hemingway did. Lord knows what he was going through right before, taking his life, but again, that doesn't take away the amount of greatness that this guy had, accumulated throughout his life. He was a very influential person that still gets influence to this day. So, again, and look, he's off. It looks like he's wearing some type of French, not so much of a fan about the shirt, but you know what I'm saying. He's definitely got that stoic look to him where, he was probably a very pleasant guy. I'm not going to assume. But, how cool is that when you are drawn in that way selling cigars? I mean, apparently he loved his cigars. So, it's that type of look that people think of you as because of, what your accomplishments were throughout the years and throughout your life. So, again, you never know what kind of, impact you have on others. until they start to see like how much it really meant to them, you know. And honestly, again, going back to the suicide thing, guys, seek help. You know, there's a lot of men suicide out there. It's very prominent nowadays, and I don't want to glaze over the fact that we all need help and we all need to talk to someone. And suicide should definitely not be the answer. All right, you know, you can definitely turn it around, whether it's a divorce, whether it's like, you know, a tragedy, or whether it's like some type of, you know, any type of loss or any type of dysfunction that you're going through, or just, you know, related to anything about your life or others. Then again, there's other ways to get around it, you know, until you can still enjoy your life to the fullest, you know, and experience more in life. So again, this guy loved cats, and I love cats. I like cats. I have a cat myself, you know. Here, I'll try and put her on because she's just sitting. Here, let me bring you over. Her name is Diamond. She's a cutie. Look at the camera right there. Look at the camera. She's like, I want to go back and sleep. Okay, here you go. Here's your little kitty spot. You know, I think of, you know, people like this who are impactful with their art and their focus within their careers, and then like someone who is able to enjoy animals, you know, peacefully. I wouldn't say that like, you know, having a cat is like the most manliest pet to have. It looks like he had like some dog right next to him too, where, you know, that's fine. That's cool. I like dogs. I like cats. You know, nothing wrong with that. And, excuse me, and something had made me think about, as I was looking through his photos of him with his beard, he kind of reminds me of someone. He kind of looks like someone that I know. And let me see if you guys can agree with me on this. Doesn't he kind of look like a little like Sean Connery? I mean, you know, it's the same type of squint, the same type of, you know, beard, the same type of, you know, just, you know, the same type of look. I'm pretty sure one of his eyebrows are slightly going up too. He's just got that like, yeah, yeah, Anyways, Sean Connery, also a great candidate for epic legendary beard of the week. So I'll probably keep that in mind, you know. It's no coincidence why I try to look for other bearded men who also have the same type of, you know, celebrityism that Ernest Hemingway had. But what do you guys think? Does Ernest Hemingway kind of look like Sean Connery? You let me know in the comments. All right? But yeah, thank you so much, Ernest Hemingway. Whoa, let me back up. Thank you, Ernest Hemingway, for your contributions to your literature, your influence on how we see and how we focus on storytelling, and how we kind of like, you know, are able to impact a story in a certain manner that you have created with your iceberg theory. You know, there's still a bunch of stories that are being used to help, you know, create, letting the, you know, the deeper meaning, you know, remain hidden underneath, like the way that we tell stories, the way that we, you know, write books, and the way that we, you know, watch movies and stuff. This is always like something that is always in the forefront of a good storytelling, especially, you know, using simple language and short sentences to pack maximum emotional punch. Like, Ernest Hemingway is the Lord! You know, like, that probably didn't make any sense. But, you know, that did pack a punch, emotional approach with how much I love this type of bearded legend, Ernest Hemingway. You know, he's a great man. A great person in life that influenced everyone and continued to influence within his reach to storytelling. So again, thank you, Ernest Hemingway, for being the bearded legend of the week. Hopefully you guys, again, are having a great, I was going to do the Tony the Tiger. Great. But yeah, I guess I did. So Anyways, you guys are hopefully having a good weekend. You guys are probably maybe barbecuing. You're probably just enjoying the inside because maybe it's hot or maybe it's cold. I don't know where you are living right now, but hopefully it's a good. It's been a it's a becoming a good day for you. Because everyone needs to either rest or exert. And if you're resting, try to be a little more reflective of what you're doing with your life. When you're resting doesn't mean that you can't just start to daydream and, you know, create some mindful potential possibility within your life or your future. So when we are able to rest, we're able to think more. And when we exert, we're able to do more. And that should be the balance within our nature of trying to get better as people, better as artists, better as humans, just the potential human experience within each other, so how we can reach each other and influence each other like Ernest Hemingway did. That's something that you can easily tackle within the approach of getting better at something, right? By resting and exerting, resting and exerting. So try to follow that stoic nature too, because everything is emotionalized nowadays, which it really doesn't need to be. Life is not that hard. It's very simple. You try to create your human experience up to a certain point where then you create your own family, and then you try to pass that family lineage of what you experience onto your next generation, your children. And that's why I always think that when you're trying to be a better person, try to seek truth, try to seek nobility, try to seek stoicism, because these types of qualities are going to keep yourself at a very good level of momentum. Because if you're too emotional, you're going to be deregulated and you're not going to get things done because now you're just emotionalizing everything, and then it just doesn't work. How America has become one of the number one powers of the country in the world is because of our efficiency to seek basically, removing the fat. We don't want to emotionalize everything anymore. To become really efficient, you remove those emotions so you can seek the truth and see what works and what doesn't. That's what science and that's what the scientific method is all about. So just try to keep yourself at a good level of reality, because again, we all have to live in reality. We can't just be alchemists and turn this into something else just by using our mind. We don't have that type of telekinesis or even matter manipulation within our own brains to do that. We got to live within our own restrictions of biology, our own restrictions of how we think, and our own restrictions of what is the nature of reality. Is this going to be a soft little piece of clay that my daughter made me, but then eventually when you leave it out, is it not going to harden? And you need to start thinking about what is becoming the fabric of your reality. And truth is, there's nothing better than truth. Things get a lot better, and then we start living our lives more simply and less complicated, because again, now is the modern time where everyone is just constantly making more problems for ourselves, just like making it more complicated. And again, to reach the matter of singularity or the matter of efficiency is not to keep spreading out, and because again, you're not going to find a good establishment of what is true and what is good in nature and what keeps us thriving as humans. So again, there's a fine line between of what you want to imagine compared to what is actually the reality and your fabric in front of you. What are we all experiencing together? What are we all seeing that's the same truth? That's what we all need to strive for. And by having that stoicism, by having that nobility, by having that also the ability to seek truth is always going to keep you at the right path. And you'll find out that your life gets a lot better, because of that. And for me, I'm not trying to be too emotional about my beard journey. I'm just trying to have fun. So that's why every single day I'm posting something. I'm getting some help from ChatGPT, and I don't care. Hey, give me a beard joke. Hey, give me a motivational quote. Hey, give me something else, because I'm not, I'm only this one guy who can do just so much for myself. That's why I use it for a tool, and I don't use ChatGPT to emotionalize everything. I'm just saying, hey, give me something that I can use that's efficient, that's consistent, and also that's proven with nobility, and also with a lot of humility for me. I get a lot of I'm very you know I have a lot of good sense of humility. I know when I'm wrong. I know when I sound stupid. I know when I flubbed over. It doesn't matter. The only thing is am I able to pick myself back up after I've stumbled a little bit? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. I can. We all can. And that's what we need to strive for, to become better people, and so that we can live in this fabric of what is real. Clearly this is the water. We can't just create anything like vapor with just our blowing on it, or like just looking at it. No, we have to put it through a scientifical experiment by getting the molecules nice and excited, so excited and so excited and so excited that it becomes vapor and it becomes steam. And you just like created that chain reaction using science. So again, there are truths within this world, but if you want to lie within those truths, you're going to have a better life, a better, less complicated life. You'll feel a little bit more happier in your days, and we'll be able to enjoy each other a little bit more. That's when humility really happens, is when there's another Stoic philosopher, or another philosopher, I think it was either Socrates or something. He said, the way to realize is like, about knowing everything is that you know nothing. I only know about everything is because I know nothing, or something. I know more about everything because I know something along the lines about that. But again, when you are not just trying to give yourself into that, just like, trying to think that you know everything, right? I don't know everything. I obviously don't. That's why I use like calculator tools like ChatGPT, like just to kind of computate a good formula so I can keep my audience, at least somewhat amused. But anyways, I might be rambling on. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. And stay tuned for tomorrow's short, where I'll be posting every single day for another, whatever joke or motivational or helpful tool, or even like some type of like, informational thing. I like my format, and I'm going to continue to do it. But stay tuned for that for tomorrow. And I will see you next weekend, next Saturday, for another Bearded Live, for another Bearded Legend. You guys have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, until then, keep on bearding on. And as always, beard the course.